candidate, Dan Bishop, will fight with everything he has to stop sanctuary cities and defend the people of this great state. Dan, come on up. Dan Bishop, everyone, get out and vote.
Mr. President, we're not tired of winning.
That's President Trump campaigning for Republican Dan Bishop ahead of his special election this past week in North Carolina. Bishop won, and he gives big credit to the president for pushing him over the finish line. He'll be the next congressman from North Carolina. But get this, that seat has been in Republican hands for decades. Trump won the district by 12 points in 2016. If you look at the margin, yes, it was a special election. The margin of victory on Tuesday, 2 points. Why was this even a contest? The answer there may hold an important message for 2020. Back to it. S.E., what is your big takeaway from that special election?
Look, a win is a win, and
Agreed.
I think GOP would have liked a more decisive victory in North Carolina for all the reasons, but a win is a win. I think where there should be concern is that Dan Bishop lost Charlotte suburbs, where he's from, by the way, the suburbs he's from, where Trump won in 2016. And we've talked so much about losing women, suburban voters for 2020 being a problem. It's hard to extrapolate this one, special election into a national message, but I would be very concerned about that pull away, that vanishing white suburban woman voter for the GOP.
But Mike, yes, if this is a bellwether for 2020, you came close in a red district, that's sure. But close in 2020 doesn't get you more seats in Congress and doesn't get you the White House. So what is the lesson from this?
There are, I think, 25 Republican seats where the Republican advantage is less than what Bishop had in this one going into 2020. It is in the margins.
It's tighter than even what we're looking at here.
It is, and so if you look at what happened, I mean, the Democrats lost a lot of specials leading up into 2018, but they performed like they did in this election. So if you look at where the playing field is and you look at the districts that are about less Republican advantage than Bishop did, Republicans should look at that and say to themselves, we got to, Donald Trump is a major problem for us in the districts where it matters. Donald Trump is going to pull it out for, he came in, he pulled it out for this guy, gave him 2 points, no doubt he turned out the base, and Donald Trump is going to keep all of his base Republicans in the House. But everyone in the suburban district that's a Republican right now is a dead duck.
One of the things I was thinking as I was watching the president campaign there is if the president and the vice president, because he went as well, if they need to be out campaigning for Republicans in ostensibly safe red districts in 2020, how can you possibly make headway in purple seats, tighter seats that you need to hold, keep, turn to, win back, win back a majority in the House if you want, and win states that you need to, again, keep the White House?
Kate, it's a fair question, and I believe at the end of the day, it's going to be about the economy. It's going to be about how strong the economy is, how taxes are being cut, how people are able to have a quality of life that the president promised and kept. So it's going to be, as we've heard in the past, it's going to be all about the economy. But saying that, as you say to your point, a win's a win. The quarterback came in, that was the president. He drew the touchdown pass, and I think as he moves around and campaigns, it will be laser beam focused on the economy.
But the only problem with that theory is that when we get into 2020, Donald Trump has to head to states which were marginal states for him in the first place. The very same place the Republicans who are less than Bishop have less of an advantage to Bishop are going to be competing. They're not going to want Donald Trump there, and Donald Trump's going to have to be there for his own hide.
But Mike, I heard that same story in 2016. It was impossible. They didn't want him in those states, and they took him over.
Hillary Clinton's not on the ballot this time.
Well, no, but Donald Trump is, and he's going to win.
Go ahead,
It's also about where Republicans are spending their time and resources, and to have to invest so much in an election that shouldn't be this close takes away critical resources from Republicans on the ballot who are actually vulnerable, from incumbents who need more of those resources from the party apparatus, as well as from the president. Having said that, it is the case that the president does help boost turnout among Republican voters. You saw that also in Florida in the midterm elections. He helped push Ron DeSantis and Rick Scott over the line, but he continues to be a liability with suburban voters. And so one of the trends you saw in this special election is that the rural areas continue to get redder and the suburban areas continue to go bluer. And so what that also point goes back to is that the president has a base, he doesn't have a coalition, and so this is going to be a longer-term problem for Republicans, is with suburban women in particular, and some of those independent voters who, again, can swing either way. They have to find a way to keep them in their fold. 2016 may have been a one-off because of this president in particular.
But, to your point, when you look at how the president's message in that final, when he was campaigning there for Dan Bishop, he called Democrats in North Carolina and beyond the American-hating left, that they're not big believers in religion. A vote for a Democrat is a vote for radical socialism and the destruction of the American dream. I mean, he unleashed on Democrats. I mean, it sure sounds like Trump is in no way out there or will be trying to draw over any independents or draw over any persuadables. It really seems to, if we needed reinforcement, what his whole concept is for 2020, which is just stir up my base.
Yeah, I think he realizes, acknowledges, accepts he's got a ceiling and a floor. He knows there's a level of support that's never going to go away, and then a level of support he'll never crack. So I think he is giving them what they want, and he's going to play the hits and not really stray from what got him elected in the first place and what keeps him popular with those people going into 2020.
But there is a common thread, you just mentioned it, that is resonating with independents, Democrats, and Republicans. The idea of socialism, the idea of advancing a socialist agenda is truly running a chill up and down the spines of people.
I have heard, though, that they're concerned inside the campaign that that's not actually going to be.
They tried that messaging tactic in Florida, particularly to try and appeal to some of the Central and South American communities there, and then they started to pull back those ads because they weren't actually resonating. But I think Essie really hit the nail on the head. This is a president who has a ceiling, and so the only challenge with this base-only strategy is, especially with the presidential year on the horizon, you're going to have more than just turnout from the base. I mean, that is how Donald Trump was elected to the White House in the first place, because he was able to corral enough independents and get suburban voters, including women, to kind of hold their nose and say, let's see how he does. Now they've seen him in office, and you've seen that appetite for change.
Here's all we know, because I know nothing. 5 months until Iowa, so get excited, and then we'll start getting some real answers. Great to see you guys. Thanks so much. That is the State of America this week. We'll see you back here next week.